went he went to Hey you guys, what's poppin'? What's going on? It's your girl Simone, aka the Black Queen, and I'm back with another YouTube video. Okay. If you're new to my channel, sis, what's poppin'? If you're returning subscriber, sis, what's good? So on my channel, I'm really passionate about people showing up as the best version of themselves. So I talk about a whole range of things: social work, entrepreneurship, fashion, beauty, current events, etc. But in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the reasons why I became a social worker or wanted to become a social worker. This is off the dome of my head. I didn't really write anything, so this is really impromptu. And I'm also going to be getting ready because I'm having a date night tonight with my boyfriend. So yeah, and I promise you guys I have on a top. So my top actually is from Fashion Nova. The pants are from Pretty Little Things. The pants I wouldn't recommend getting because they're not as flattering. Let me back up real quick. Yeah, they're okay. But anywho, let's get back into the video. So before we actually start talking and everything like that, I want to shout out or highlight my partnership with La Lumiere. So they sent me these beautiful, gorgeous rings. I don't know if you guys can see them. I did a whole live stream with them on TikTok, and I absolutely just love their products. Their rings are super gorgeous, as you guys can see. They go along with any accessory that's silver and that has diamonds on it. I absolutely love this, and I have a special partnership with them. So if you guys click the link in my bio, you guys will receive, I think, 10 or either 15% off. So make sure you guys go check this out. Like, it's super pretty. Like, I think it looks it really just elevates a look. I'm gonna be transparent with you. It really elevates a look. So yeah, but let's talk about the reason why I decided to become a social worker. So I grew up very fortunate. I grew up in a two-parent household, very religious actually. My mom was a housewife. She still currently is a housewife. My mom, she grew up in the projects, and my dad, he is African, so he's Nigerian, Cameroonian, and Ghanaian. I know that's a lot, but if you guys want a little bit more information about that, I'll go into that in a later detailed video, and that's why I go to Nigeria almost every year. So yeah. But like I said, I grew up in a very stable two-parent household, and I really had a lot of support growing up. I had the support of my father, my mother, other people in the community, my aunt, my grandmother, a lot of my cousins that lived uptown in Manhattan and stuff like that, up in Harlem. So I just had a lot of support. Like, my parents were, I don't want to necessarily say well known, but so many people always loved my parents. Like, and I have some amazing parents. Like, people always loved meeting my parents, talking to my parents. They will always say your children are well mannered, you guys are just so nice, things like that. So I grew up like that, right? And I don't want to say grew up privileged, but I grew up comfortable. So like I said, my mom was a housewife. That means she was at every parent-teacher conference. She was there. She picked us up from school. She took us home, dropped us off at school, took me to ballet classes, swim classes, tennis classes, and things like that. So I always just had access to stuff, right? And I think in New York City, I don't think it's difficult to have access to stuff because it's New York City, right? You can either take the train or the bus, cab, car, walk, bike, whatever. It's not like the rest of America, whatever the case may be. So yeah, that's just kind of how I grew up, right? However, and okay, let me be transparent too. So on my mom's side, they grew up in the projects in the hood, right? Some of them in Harlem, some of them in Lower East Side. And so we would go to the hood. I would go see my grandmother, and my cousins and my family, and I wasn't allowed to go outside. So and if we did go outside, we would go like with a lot of supervision with my grandmother, my aunt, my mom. Like, we were never alone, or my cousins. I was never alone, like, ever. And it wasn't until I got a little older where, I got into high school, I started taking the train by myself, where I kind of saw a lot of disparities that people had, right? So this is, okay, so I went to an all-girls school. I went to the Young Women's Leadership School in Queens, so shout out to that school. Shout out to the Young Women's Leadership School, for real. I went to the Young Women's Leadership School, and, I went from going to an all white school, living in an all white area, because I live in an all white area, to going to an all black area with a whole bunch of black girls, right? So, I was made fun of. I was bullied because, I wasn't really necessarily used to the culture of it all, right? And so a lot of my black girlfriends lived in the projects, right? And they came from single parent homes, right? And had a lot of issues, right? Not having access to resources, mother working 2 or 3 jobs, and the children being home to raise children, right? I remember a lot of the time, some of the friends that I had at that time period, after school, they would have to go straight to go taking care of their siblings. And it was just so weird to me, because I'm like, why is your mom not picking your child, like your siblings up? Why do you have to go straight home? Why can't we go to like ballet, or why can't we go to swim practice, or why do you have to go straight home, right? And it didn't dawn on me that I guess my friends didn't have the resources that I necessarily had, right? They didn't have a 2-parent household, right? So mom had to work all the time, right? Whether my mom hasn't worked in the last 30 years, right? Or just like when I would go to their houses, I would see all the things that they lacked, right? They wouldn't lack a whole bunch of food, or because sometimes they were eligible for EBT, and then sometimes some of them weren't. So these are just different friends. I'm not particularly talking about one specific friend. These are just all the friends that I had in general. Some of them will be eligible to get EBT, some of them weren't. Some of them didn't have working bathrooms. And if you lived in NYCHA, or you know about NYCHA, it takes like 2-3 years to get a light fixture fixed. That's just really how it is. I mean, now it's a little bit more better, but back then when I was younger, when I was 14, 15, 16 growing up, it was bad. What else? What else can I remember? Oh, just not having like toilet tissue, right? I remember one time, and if I remember correctly, something happened. I don't know if the siblings spilled something on the floor or whatever, but the mom went into a rage about just something spilling on the floor. And I'm like, at my house, I spill stuff all the time. You just clean it up. But you have to understand that there's a lot of issues there. Like, a mother should not be going into a rage about a kid dropping something on the floor, right? And you could tell like there's a mental health issue there. Maybe she's stressed out because all the responsibilities on her, the choices that she made. It's a whole bunch of stuff, right? So these are just little things that I was realizing, right? And like I said, when I would go to the hood or these areas, like, why is there so many cracks on the floor? And this is like in the early like 2010s, right? In New York City, like the early, not New York now, because New York now is gentrified. New York now don't even look like New York now, how it's supposed to look. But anywho, the elevators being broken, piss and urine in the elevators, just little things that like I wasn't necessarily accustomed to, because that's not the area that I lived and I grew up in, like, ish, right? And so as me realizing these things, I was just like, why is there so many like disparities? Why is it that I have this, I don't have this, until I grew up and I matured and I started putting 1 + 1 together, which equals 2. And I realized that, wow, like, these people do not have the things that I have, or I have access to the things that I have access to. That's not fair, right? Better schooling, education, right? Thanks to my mom and her having a lot of free time, not a lot of free time, because stay-at-home moms actually have a lot of stuff to do, but because of my mom, and there was certain like special education that I needed to get for myself, right? She was able to advocate for me and always be there. And sometimes my dad will come straight from work and be there at the parent-teacher conference as well, whereas other parents, my other friends' parents didn't show up for that. So me realizing this and everything like that, and I'm realizing like this is really messed up, this bothers me, that's what kind of like sparked my need for working in the community, right? And then what kind of sparked my need for working for mental health is that because I had a cousin, and this is a little bit emotional for me to kind of talk about. So I had a cousin, and he was born 1994, October 21st. My birthday is October 23rd. So he was a Libra, I am a Scorpio. So I think in 2017, he committed suicide. He went to his room, off the ceiling, he hung himself, and he needed mental health help, right? And at that point, I was like still very, very young, going to school, going to college, that I really didn't understand a lot of things, because like I don't want to say feel like I was sheltered, but I had a great life. Like I have amazing parents, and I hope one day that when I give birth and get married, when I get married and give birth, I can give my children the same childhood, or even better, that I had. But like I said, he committed suicide. He went to an HBCU too. He went to Tuskegee University, so shout out to that school. But he came home and committed suicide, killed himself. And I realized like there was a big mental health component that we all missed as a family, right? And it's sad and it's heartbreaking, because like, you know, me and him are the same age. Like he's supposed to be like my right hand man, and he's not here anymore. So that is one of the reasons why I'm really, really passionate about mental health. And I know in my heart of hearts, I don't know this for a fact, I feel like there was a little bit of a substance abuse component that played into that. Alcohol and drugs and things like that is the reason. I personally feel like I don't really know, and I really don't want to inquire, because I don't want to get overly emotional about this anymore. It's 2017, this is 2023. But those are like two of the main factors. On top of that, I personally have a young brother that also kind of struggles with mental health issues as well. And it's difficult and it's challenging, right? It's really challenging to see a loved one that you love really struggle with mental health issues. And that's kind of what really just brought me to the field. That's kind of what really has brought in me to be a social worker and just do my part. As a social worker, if you're watching this, or a student, you will know that you cannot help everybody, and you will not be able to save everybody. There are some people that will die, and it's a very hard pill to swallow. And I'm trying my best not to get so emotional on this, because I just did my makeup. I spent 2 hours on this face, and I'm about to go out with my boyfriend, so I don't want to be in a somber state. But realize that you cannot save everybody. But what helps me sleep at night is knowing that I'm just doing my part. I'm going to be a great social worker, or I'm being a great social worker, and I'm trying my best to just touch one person's life. And if I touch one person's life, I've done my job. I've done my job. And I look good doing it. So that's the reasons why I became a social worker. So I hope my story kind of inspires somebody. This is just me being transparent, real, and raw. Like, I didn't write anything down. You guys should see my vanity right now. It looks crazy. I just say, you know what, I'm dressed. Let me go on here and do a video for them. So make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Comment below on what brings you to my channel. Comment below what makes you want to become a social worker, or what major you're in, or if you're thinking about changing majors, whatever. Just comment below so we can kind of get a discussion going. Let me know what you guys think about this video. And like I said, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Follow your girl on all social media platforms. And thank you guys so much for liking this video and watching this video. And I will catch up with you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.